Welcome to On the Chain. This is Chip. Where is Jeff? That's the big question tonight. And I want to kind of jump into a giant surprise, kind of out of the blue, like a bluebird singing. Surprise for XRP holders. We're going to jump into it. You guys all know what it is, but we're going to get into it, and I'll give you my thoughts on it. And Jeff will too. Right, Jeff? Yeah. And also Ripple. There's a secret hire. Was there a secret hire on the hush hush? Like on the down low? Like it wasn't like it was secret, but somebody wasn't talking. What's going on with that? And then we're going to talk more about the SEC implosion, because can it get any worse? It can. Not for Ripple, but for the SEC. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Yeah, and we're going to jump into a lot of different things right now. But before we really dive in, I want to do a giant shout out to Permission.io, sponsor of this video right here. Permission.io is another way to take your personal data, opt in, and then you're able to earn the ASK token. Do the same thing you always do. You get shown an ad. Instead of it being somebody else's ad, they serve up an ad based on your profile, based on what you like. You might watch a video and you'll earn the ASK token, ask permission. You can learn more, sign up, takes about a minute and a half. You sign up, you fill out your profile, you install the browser plugin, and boom, you are earning the ASK token, the easiest way probably to earn crypto that there is for doing what you always do. Visit them in the chat below, in the description below, Permission.io. Now let's get on with it, and let me bring in a special guest here all the way from a secret location. Jeff, what's up? Are you there?
What is going on, Chip?
Hey, what are you doing, Jeff?
Hey, what is going on?
Well,
there we go. Yeah, I can kind of see myself.
So that's a little bit of a hint, because I don't think I've ever seen you wearing something covering on your face. So I know that there's only a couple of states that I could probably guess, although we won't give it away. But there's probably a couple places where it's mandated. Otherwise, you wouldn't be wearing it, right?
There's only a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, no, Jeff, we don't want you getting thrown out.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want you getting tossed out anymore. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, so big surprise today. We'll go a little bit into it, kind of dissect it, but this whole thing out of the blue, we're kind of like waiting with bated breath. When is, Flare going to drop? And when does Flare go? When is Flare going to drop? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom, we get hit with an announcement from Flare all about Songbird, SGB, right?
Yep.
And it comes out of the blue, and people are like, I saw so many funny things being said on Twitter, crypto Twitter today, but I have to tell you that I'm pretty excited about this. And I actually think, and contrary to what other people think, they're like, "Oh, I don't know, Jeff, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing?"
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that, man? Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, I actually think it's something great, because building the kind of platform that they're building for smart contracts and the kind of game changer it's going to be, you look, anytime you do anything, you want to stress the hell out of it. You want to test the hell out of it. Problem is, if you launch a product and it's not properly stress tested, and financial institutions go through this all the time, tech companies go through this all the time, anything around financial data, you have to stress test it. Now, we'll get into the particulars of what this means and why it's a little bit different than your standard sort of a test environment. But Jeff, let me get your quick thoughts, because you just found out about it.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you. I read through the article that you sent over, and definitely interesting. I think that if they're going to do their due diligence, and now they have some concern about the functionality of it, and they don't want to see the functionality just in their own test environment. They want to see it in the real world, put it out, in the wild. And so I think rolling out the token the way they are, giving it an extra 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever they have to do to make sure they're efficient, I think is key. The fact that they're going to allow, all of those that are already getting distribution to get some distribution, and also get familiarized with the platform, I think is also key.
Yeah, it's super key. And the thing is, like, when you're doing stuff like what they call in stage before you actually go to like a production type of an environment, The thing about Songbird, it's a little bit different. They usually have like a test net. The problem with the test net is you can have an unlimited supply, right? You can just keep making up tokens because it's not real. The difference with this, what they're calling, I believe they're calling it a canary, canary net. They're calling it a canary net. As long as it's not the canary in the coal mine, right? So it's kind of clever. Canary.
Well, it's the same idea, right?
Well, it is kind of the same idea. You know, when they used to do, you know, the coal miners would go down there, they'd bring a canary, put it in the coal mine. The canary dies, better get out of there. It's like poisonous gas. You can't, something's going on. It's time to get out. And that canary goes. So in a weird kind of way, it is sort of, I wonder if there's a connection there. That's the first thing I thought of. But with the canary net, you're using a real token. And how do we know about that? Because we are going to get the drop. XRP holders, if you were there for the snapshot, I believe it was on December 12th, then you are going to get basically the equivalent of a one-time drop, which is about 15%, 0.15, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea. No, I was asking you why not one for one. Then I looked at the total availability, and that would just max them out. So doing the 15%, hey, you know what? It gets some of the asset out there. The question is, you know, they were also talking about vulnerabilities. So they wanted to make sure that it could even potentially assess a value so that it can open it up to hacks or whatever else might go on. And so that's also key. You know, it really has to be in its natural habitat, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it, because we get to participate in it, and we'll jump into it a little bit. We'll start dissecting it, but I think overall, I'd kind of like to see what you guys think. I saw some early stuff, people kind of talking about it in the chat, but I'd kind of like to put some what you guys are thinking. I'll throw it up on top so we can take a look at it, and you know, just so we can kind of like get it a little bit better. By the way, XRP Panic says you sound better with the mask on, Jeff. Just letting you know.
I guess I'll have to do this from now on.
A little bit
looks
muffled,
like,
but
it looks like in a minute or two, you're gonna have to take me out, and
that's
then
no problem.
You can keep me in the lobby, and I'll be able to get back on.
Yeah, no problem. Just ping me, and I'll let you back in when you can come on. All right.
Okay, so, I'm good for right now.
Okay.
So when I leave, I'll leave when I get called in.
Yeah, right there. Hussein, right there. Badakajani says, "Yep, canary deployments of technology are a thing." Yeah, exactly. And this is actually good. And you know, if they announced this like 6 months ago, it wouldn't have made any sense. But to do this, anytime you're working on a financial thing, it would be catastrophic if they release this and it's not ready yet. Man, I mean,
could you imagine the ramification of that? And this is so tied into all of the financial transaction, and so. Obviously, any asset is, but could you imagine if it broke and it wasn't functional, and what that would jeopardize the reputation of the entire industry? I mean, you know, or at least you know their part of the industry, so to speak.
And Hussein Badakachani says canary deployments are a strategy, help you deploy new services into production without risking full service, eventually redirecting 100% of traffic, you know, to the new surface. You know, here we use the terminology, you know. The terminology differs depending on where you are, you know. Yet we use staging, you know, staging area, a sandbox area. The difference here, instead of or use the word test net, you know, problem with test net is if you're dealing with like currency or USD or euro, it's not real. It's fake. It's artificial. You can spin up as much as you want to so-called test it. The problem with the test net is it's just that. It's not real world. This canary deployment, this canary sort of environment is going to be real world. And what are they doing? They're not going to like, we're going to test it and we'll let you know if everything's okay. No, they're like 15% drop, one-time drop, but based on your total XRP, whatever your XRP snapshot was. If you had, and I'm going to use a round number, you know, if you had 100 XRP, you get 15, right? Yeah. If you had 100,000, you get 15,000, you know, of the Songbird is what they're calling it.
Yes. 15%. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it basically mimics the initial drop, you know, of the Flare token. So people are getting what they're going to get with the Flare token on the initial drop. Again, you know, it's really interesting. You know, I'm glad that they're rolling it out this way. I think it really speaks volume. You know, I know there were some, you know, ripples in the industry, no pun intended, but there was, you know, some issues, you know, in the space when they, you know, when they had some uncertainty over the whole tax issue and what they were going to do and how they were going to do it. And to me, you know, rolling it out like this, just, you know, put them back into kind of a leadership space where it shows that they really know what they're doing from a technical perspective. So I like that. I think that's critical.
Good. Actually, that's a good take on it, right? That's sort of movement, because a couple little missteps about some centralized decisions made, and I get they were really trying to do the best for the community, but this scenario right here is really good because look, this has to happen, and everyone might get freaked out and say, "What, another delay?" And it's going to go a little bit longer. But the Songbird, Canary network is going to be used before they roll out something into production and full-blown production, where we'll be able to test it first, right? But in a real-world scenario, but you're not using the Flare token, you're going to be using the Songbird SBG. And I'm telling you, man, it was like, what a nice surprise. I saw all kinds of stuff on the internet. People are like, oh my God, they're delaying. And I retweeted something funny that someone put out there. They said the best explanation, it may have outplayed a little bit later. Best explanation for why there's a delay. And anytime you got to go, just put your hand up and we'll get you out of there, Jeff. How close are you? Close?
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out. I'll be boarding here in 1 second, and then I'll see you on here in a minute.
All right. You want to just dump out all the way? That way I can hear you come back in. Okay.
Yep, we'll do.
Sounds good. Cool. Thanks for jumping in, Jeff.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's like, man, Jeff's been gone for 2 days. It's like everything's falling apart. Or nah, it's all good. So Ripple just filed a motion to have the court consider the SEC Commission statements and their fair. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so we covered a little bit of that. Yeah, so this is interesting. Eddie says, yeah, I didn't know EA Sports had physical stores. Yeah, there is a physical store. You guys caught that too in the background, right? Yeah, I saw that as well. So yeah, but let's kind of dissect it a little bit. I want to jump into this. Let's go ahead and throw it up on the big screen so we can all start looking at this and workshopping it together and kind of going through. We don't have to go through everything, but there's a couple key points that I want to highlight. Obviously, this is the blog post that Flare put out. Man, just it seems like hours ago. It was just earlier today. And let me see if I can make this right. So introducing Songbird, the Canary network for Flare. And this is, so they're going to release updated plans and development launch of Flare. They've been conducting extensive testing of the network, the various core protocols that are intended to provide utility. Testing has now reached the point where many elements can be a little more understood from further testing from isolating a test network. In the next 6 weeks, we'll be releasing a Canary network for Flare called Songbird. And this is really kind of introducing it to everybody. So what is a Canary network? It's an operational blockchain with a defined and hence scarce is the key thing, token supply tended to test features for a related mainnet. The mainnet's what's live, right? On a Canary network, users have a balance that cannot be replenished at will. And that's the difference between a Canary network and a test network, where when you're doing like a test net, everything you can spin up as much as you want. You want a million USD, you want 50 million euro, spin it up. It's fake. It's not in the real world. This one here, you have a balance, but you can't replenish it. Your balance is your balance, and that's it. So whatever your 15%, your one-time drop, that's what you're going to end up with. And it's in a contrast to a test net, which generally has this unlimited supply. So the defined and scarce token supply can confer value of the token, potentially making it attractive to attackers. So, you open this up and it's actually, you might entice some hackers, attackers, whatever you want to call them, that may want to come in and they may want to say like, okay, let's see how good you are. Let's see how good this is protected. I want to check it out, right? So if it has a little value, that's what they're saying. It might have some value to the token. And this is why it's as real as they possibly can get it. It allows for hardening of the system, battle test the system. Polkadot's the originator of the Canary network concept with their Kusama network, and purpose of it is Canary is it's a Canary network for Flare will have two distinct phases. Prior to the launch, Songbird will be instrumental in the continued testing of the FTSO, known as the Flare Time Series Oracle, the state connector, and the F-ACID systems of the network architecture. FTSO and F-ACID protocols will be live on Songbird. Let me punch it back in here, Jeff. You able to join?
Hey, I'm perfect. Yeah, I can hear you fine. Just let me know if there's too much noise in the background.
No, that's so far so good.
Awesome.
No, are you? It's like, where's Jeff? By the way, somebody brought up the point that they can see the EA store behind you.
Oh yeah, the EA store that was empty, shut down, closed.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be, since I thought they
Yeah.
were selling sport, games, right? So who's going to be
Right.
buying? It's kind of a silly concept. So I was just getting into the purpose of it. Post Flare launch. So that's what they're going to do pre-launch. Now post launch, Songbird's going to be intended for long-term network testing governance. Led changes to Flare, so as the incorporation of new F assets as they start bringing new digital, assets in for the F assets. Any changes to the Flare Time series Oracle, the FTSO, any F asset systems, or any change that they make. In all periods, Songbird has two other core features or uses. First, advanced testing, community building for applications that want to launch on Flare. Ideally, all the applications that launch on Flare, especially those that utilize the FTSO and the F asset systems, will test initially on Songbird. Second, it's a way for Flare token holders to familiarize themselves with key Flare protocols, such as the delegation to the FTSO. So I think we're going to be able to launch, and you'll be able to use your Songbird to, I believe, in a test environment, sort of a semi-test, but you'll be able to use that as a delegation. You can delegate it to one of the FTSOs, right? There's a bunch of them out there that are getting ready when it launches. I'm sure they'll be in bed testing this as well. Minting of F assets and usage of applications that build on Flare without putting their Flare tokens at risk. So Jeff, drilling down on again, the first and second thing, it sounds like we're going to actually be in real world scenario and being able to use this puppy.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I mean, the idea that we're able to use it, the idea that we're able to test it, the idea that it's going to be around, ongoing as they keep rolling out the additional parts of their platform, I think is really key. I think it's going to make a big significance. They were in the article is referencing that the first ones to do that was Polkadot.
Yep.
That nobody else has rolled out a test platform in the real world like this. So the fact that it's not just a test net, that it's a real world, I think is very significant.
Yeah, it also makes sense too. If you're going to roll something out, well, why would you use? You're going to have to. You need some kind of a token, right? And it's not going to be Flare. It's not going to be the Spark token. It's going to be something else. So, man, what a pleasant surprise. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I know some people may be a little bit disappointed, but look, what you want is when you have potential game changer stuff happening here, and all of the different organizations and things will be building on Flare. It's kind of like, it's 2.0, maybe 3.0 of Ethereum. It's the next level. You want it to be thoroughly tested. You want to find all the bugs. You want bad things to happen when it's in the Canary network. That's what you want to happen.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. Now we get to follow it. So hopefully that airdrop is going to happen soon. Obviously the drop of the Flare setback, minimum 6 weeks, right? Because they said that this is going to be a 6-week test. So see what happens.
I think that was in here. We'll get to that. Flare will launch all the tested core protocols, talks about the FTSO, the F assets, state connector, all that. Now we get to the Songbird token. So this is probably one of the more important things. Like, this is what everybody wants to know. So it has its own token called Songbird, which is SGB, distributed only one time, same ratio to all the recipients on the Flare distribution. So the total starting supply is 15 billion. That's it. There's no more. They're not going to have any more. It's 15 billion because that's 15% of the 100 billion. And it's also going to have initial inflation of 10% per annum, because through the FTSO and the validator reward system, that means for every 1 XRP that you had at the snapshot, you will basically get 15% of that, or 0.1511 Songbird is what's going to be allocated. Did I lose you, Jeff? I think I might have lost you, Jeff.
Snapshot. You don't see me? Can you
hear
me?
you. I hear you, but you're a little frozen. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I was saying it goes back to the initial snapshot. So we're talking about a new snapshot. We're talking about the original snapshot in December.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up, Jeff. So I'm gonna just, yeah.
Oh, really? Oh.
I got a little bit of, well, now you're back.
Out?
It looks like I think you're back right now. No,
okay.
We'll keep you in, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the camera positioned. So.
It's not
Not
it's
easy.
not the most ideal studio, but it's working. It's working.
It's working. Yeah, it's almost
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, it's almost perfect. Actually, sounds pretty good. So let's
Yeah.
get into the governance. Similar to Flare, the Songbird token can be used to perform governance role. Unlike Flare, this would not be over the implementation of changes to Songbird itself, because Songbird is subordinated to Flare for that purpose, right? Makes sense. And governance could, however, be useful in adding additional chains, prices, F assets that haven't been suggested by Flare governance. So you think of it, it's got a wider scope and a use that on the governance side, it opens it up to more possibilities than just a narrow sort of focus of what Flare is doing now, especially when it comes to F assets or like additional chain, whatever they add to it. That's a great atmosphere for that.
Yeah. Hey, it's funny here, Chip. I was looking at the comments here.
What's
Jimmy
that?
the Meek says I look like Dr. Evil.
Dr.
I'm looking
Evil.
at some of the commentary. Here's XRP panic.
Yeah, you're Dr. Evil in a mask right now, which is good. The internets are angry tonight. Yeah, they are angry tonight, but I don't know why. Really, I mean, you know what? I got to tell you, never look a gift horse in the mouth. So what if it has bad teeth? Who cares? Maybe it doesn't have any teeth, but it can sure pull a wagon. Knows how to drink water.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
it's so funny. I've never heard people so. What's the word, like a maniacal, so angry about something for free. It's like, Jeff, I got this free car I'm going to give you, but it's going to be a little bit longer. You're like, what are you talking about, Chip? You were going to give me the car. It's like, it's kind of a silly sort of a way to look at that, when you think about it.
I want a free car. Oh, it's getting loud.
All right, so you have to go?
No, they're just talking on the overhead. People are still boarding.
Yeah, everyone ignores that anyway. Federal law. Sir John is in the house. 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 You know what that means. Sir John's in the house. I like how everybody calls him out. He's a major celebrity of the OTC family. $1 million. That's Dr. Evil right there. There you go. $1 million, baby. What up, family? Here for gold XR free. So let's jump back into this right here. Let's go add this back. Launch order. We'll launch first as a pure EVM smart contract network. This enables testing of the network architecture for the initiation of testing third-party dApps. And subsequently, the FTSO state connector FS assets will also be enabled. The Flare launch will launch after substantial testing of all systems on Songbird, with the final security audit scheduled to finish at the end of September. So it's basically probably looking at more like 8 weeks for that final audit. So we're going to stress test the hell out of it, break it. It's kind of like if you were like walking into a mall with one of those giant four-wheelers, and you find out how much damage you could get, like in an empty mall, in a store, and just take things out, spin around. You want to get a 4.0 in damage. You want to do it quickly, and that's really the whole idea of this Canary Net. You want to bust things and break them. You want potential attackers, potential hackers to come in, because you want to get it out of the way. So when you get that final security audit and they give you the green light or don't give you the green light, then you have a place to move from. Jeff, your thoughts? Jeff, I lost you. All right, well, I'm going to pull Jeff out of here because Jeff it looks like he's frozen right there. So let's, you there? No. Yeah, I thought he was coming back. Looks like he was moving around, but I don't know. I think it's just, yeah, so that's what it is. So anyway, what's this? So what's this chaos warning? Songbird should not be considered a production-ready network. That's what I just said. It's you want to go in there and break some stuff. Testing of the integrity of the proposed production network, which is Flare, proposed governance, updates over time, Flare core protocols, dApps launching on Flare. Flare team makes no promise to continue support or development of Songbird in the future. And why should they? It's not necessary. What is necessary is getting this in shape, and making sure it's battle tested and ready to send out into the wild so that we all can get our drops, flare, go nuts, start using it. But I actually think it's really great. And this is something where they talk about often. This is the motto. If you're a handyman, you basically measure twice and you cut once, right? If you don't measure twice, you cut it and it's always wrong. Sometimes I measure 3 times. It all depends on how that works. It can be. Jeff, you there? He's back.
Yeah, I'm
Jeff
back.
is back.
I'm back.
You're back. Yeah, you froze up for a little bit there, but
comment up there. Yeah, the Wi-Fi came on.
Where's,
So I just disconnected.
yeah, the Wi-Fi did. Let's see. Where's
Yeah.
Buford's comment? Which one? Oh, there. Here's. Let me put David's up here. David Allison. David, thank you for the support. So if I buy Songbird during this drop, do I receive my initial XRP investment or receive a drop in my total Songbird? Well, let's rip this apart a little bit. So if you buy more Songbird, you don't buy Songbird. It has a finite supply of 15 billion, and that 15 billion is based on 100 billion of Spark in total. You can't buy it. So you can be gifted it, and it's going to happen in a one-time drop. So if you had, let's say if you had 100,000 XRP, because it's an easy round number and I can do the math, you would get 15,000 one-time Songbird. That's what you would end up with. So if you receive your initial XRP investment, based on whatever that is, just calculate 15% of that. Whatever your initial, when I say initial investment, but what you had during the snapshot, whether it was on exchange, whether it was on, a cold storage wallet, whatever that was, and it has to be an approved exchange, that's what you're going to end up with. So just calculate 15%, 50,000 XRP, you're going to end up with, 7,500. And then of course you can, it's 15% of whatever it is. 1,000 XRP, you're going to get 150. So that's what it's going to be. And that's how it is. You're not actually able to buy it. And what they're saying is they're not promising anything in the way of supporting it, because it has a very specific purpose. Now they may use it in the future, but just almost like anything, once you've worked out all the bugs, you start working in production. Now if they wanted to use the Canary, they might test some other things, but don't get the wrong impression that they're going to be more Songbird. You're going to have 2 networks. That's not what's happening here. That's not what's happening here at all. So, but that's a good question, and hopefully I cleared that up for you, David. Yeah. So Anthony was saying this. We talked about this. Anthony says, anyone having issues in the UK with Binance, transfer your XRP to a ledger, and then when it's time to sell, transfer it to crypto.com. Crypto.com has it, or another exchange like Bitrue, I believe, has it still, and I believe Uphold. There's a bunch of different exchanges that still have it, depending on what you like. But Crypto.com is pretty big, and they're still trading it. Jeff's on a rocket, just like the other Jeff Bezos, right? When I heard about it, it happened so fast. He went into space, and it was like he was done. I was like, I'm like, spend some time up there, man. Hang out a little bit, mix up a little cocktail, put a little umbrella in it, enjoy the waiting list just a while. I mean, come on, man. That thing coming down and that landing, I gotta say, it's looked pretty well executed. I know it was just a test flight, but those were using real humans. Okay, when they're going to be launching Flare, they're first going to be using this Canary net. So we'll see how that goes and how that ends up, right? Yeah, right there. That's right. Eddie says you can trade it for canaries. You can. No, you can't. But that's funny. I like that. Let's see. Songbird may get up to 10 cents. Possible, right? And what they were saying is that it could potentially have a value. Any kind of a value would probably, with 15 billion having like a finite, and some being on the network, and that's what they're kind of alluding to there, that could potentially invite people to, mess around with the network, hackers, people looking to compromise the network. And that's not in a test scenario. That's what you sort of want, right? That's what you want to go with. So I think it's really fantastic. Also too, this was really fast. Bitrue was really quick on the jump here. You guys look here. Let me see. There we go. Yeah, so Bitrue put this tweet out here. It said they're supporting the Songbird distribution from the Flare team. I believe they're the first. Now I don't know. I haven't heard from some of the other exchanges like Uphold or Coinbase. Some of the other exchanges that were on that giant approved list initially from Flare. It says Songbird, this test network for Flare. You're eligible to receive Flare from BitTrue. And what they said in that blog post there was that depending on, let me just do this for a second. Yeah, so in the blog post, they said it depends on where you had the snapshot, but their intention is to distribute it to, if it's an exchange. Now there's going to be a slight, we'll have to wait for instructions on if you had it on cold storage wallet, like a ledger. If you had it on a ledger, it's going to be very similar to how you set it up, but it's going to be a different address. So it's going to probably be very similar to what we went through if you had set it up Flare, if you set Flare up for the ledger. So we'll have to wait for instructions on that, but just rest assured that according to how I read it in the Flare post, that you are going to get that Songbird distributed to whichever exchange you're on. It's their responsibility. So I can't see them not doing it, because can you imagine everybody hammering, let's say Coinbase, where is it, or Uphold, or BitTrue is already in. They've been first on a lot of stuff. It's supported, and if you were on BitTrue when the snapshot happened, you're home free. You don't have to worry about anything. And I think that's another sort of a positive as well. And let's see what else we got in the chat here. Go into the chats. Jeff says they finally cut his connection. I understand. So he'll be in the chat. That's cool, Jeff. Contribute during the chat. I'll throw your comments up there. But yeah, I mean, it's a surprise you stayed on as long as you did. I wanted to do this right here. This is FTSO. It's another signal provider over in the UK. I want to put this up here. Songbird, to talk about it. So this is the Songbird network. There's their symbol, SGB, the ratio. It's just a nice little card, kind of nice. Sometimes you got to see it. I'm saying it, but you kind of have to see it. There's a 15 billion supply. That's it. There's not going to be any more minted. That's the supply. There'll be no predefining minting rewards pool. Instead, the supply will remain with the Flare Foundation, which makes sense. The initial inflation will be 10%. Will be through FTSO and validator rewards. This is controlled by governance. And in the next 6 weeks, and that's why they got, more or less, they'll be releasing the Songbird network, and that's within 6 weeks. And then they're looking the end of September to do a security audit. And it'll be a third-party company to go on there and again, looking to break stuff, making sure stuff works. Can they, what they call a pen test, a penetration test? Can it be penetrated? Can they sort of, just like we're going to be doing? Can they break it? And when they get the final go, then they'll launch it. And that's quite honestly, that's what we want. And I know people are like, why can't you launch it? Look, this is game-changing stuff, man. This isn't child's play. This isn't a meme coin. This is some serious stuff. This is probably Ethereum 5.0. And the fact is that the same way you saw a lot of people flock into Ethereum, the ERC20s, the BP, with BPE 20s, a lot of people are minting those coins. This is different. People are going to be building on the infrastructure. Flare Finance, for example, look at all the stuff that they're offering. Yields and all kinds of everything's being built around this. And I also believe that there's going to be an NFT platform. So you think of it more in terms of not a project, but a giant sort of a network that people can build upon, and even new use cases that we're not even thinking about. The same way as XRP, we're like cross-border payments. Yeah, that was one thing. And then Coil came out. And then the funny thing is that there are people watching right now who have a Coil subscription, costs you $5 a month. And it's streaming micropayments. If you're on a browser, you can actually see it streaming little drops as you're watching that. How do we know that? Because some of you, which we love, you guys actually have a Coil subscription. And Jeff and I get an email sent to our OTC account, and it says, hey, you received this much XRP. Wow, fantastic. Guess what? You guys are watching. We're receiving, and it's a fantastic sort of I love it because we can get rid of all these silly paywalls. I mean, I understand why they have to put them up. If the publication, a lot of times you'll see something really good. You really want to read it. You click on it, and then boom, you got to sign up. You can't see it. And that's really that's the use case the Coil is going to solve. Bigger adoption. You pay $5. You can go all over the internet and see everything. Now, if there's a greater adoption for that, what does that mean? That means that they can take down the paywalls, and we don't have to worry about that sort of subscription model, subscription at this publication and this one and this one. You get one subscription and you're set. thought we transition to some kind of keep it a little bit light. I wanted to jump into a couple of these because every once in a while you come across some stuff that's just I call it a little more on the humorous side of life, which I think is good. You kind of have to stick there. And I'll just shout these out. These are just quick hits real here, but let's go ahead and do this. This is Kenwood Capital says, you're crying while I'm buying, right? And this is what we talk about a lot. A lot of people are like, oh my God, do I sell it? What do I do? You know, and my dad gives me a call today and he's like, hey, do you want to buy my XRP? I'm like, well, why would you sell it? I'm like, just think of it as money in the bank you're not going to touch and that will double, triple, quadruple. You know, why would you want to get rid of it? He's like, well, it's tanking. I said, yeah, but see, that's the mentality, tanking. That's one way to look at it. And it's tanking if you bought up here and it goes down here. But this is where you dollar cost average, right? Or, you know, let's use the word dollar, but this is where you cost average and you buy a bunch here, you buy a bunch there, but it brings your total value of what you purchased at even lower. So that's one of them. Let's jump on this other one here. Me and my friends, when XRP hits $10 at there's McD's, and yeah, there's a couple of nice little Lambos there. I love that. They're all just sitting in a row. But I don't know why they'd be at McDonald's. I don't know. Maybe, you know, but that's Bully Bull right there. And we've got this one here. This is at OB1 XRP. The signs are everywhere. The crypto gods are speaking to me. There it is. And it's so funny. When I'm in a store too, this is funny because I always see 589. I see it everywhere. I see it in prices. And you start noticing. You ever notice if you, let's say you get a new car, a new truck, whatever, you get something, all of a sudden you realize, wow, there are a lot of the same vehicle that I have on the road. And wow, they're a lot the same color. You just don't notice them any other time, except when it's time to notice, right? And let's look at this one here. So this one I thought was right on, just like holding XRP. Fragile, handle with care, don't break it. It's fragile. And it's fragile now until it's not. And, you know, you're free to do what you want, but I just say, you know, and these are just funny hits, you know, this is nothing real too serious. And then this one here, I just wanted to share this. This is new in the Zum 2.1. If you open the account net worth app, you can now see your account worth, your local currency. But the warning here is the value might disappoint you today because, you know, a little bit of red, it happens. But I'm really liking the Zum app. I really think that Vitsavin's done a really phenomenal job and his team. It's a nice, it's easy to use. It's great. And if you guys haven't noticed, the XRP tip bot is back. If you were here maybe a couple years ago, people were tipping each other like crazy on the XRP tip bot. It was like boom, 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 boom. And I got a bunch of tips. It was like I was bombarded with tips like, hey, Chip, here's this and here's that. And I didn't even have it set up yet. But if you haven't downloaded the Zum wallet, you can tip people. You can, because of Casino Coin, what's really cool is you can actually tip in Casino Coin. The CSC, because it runs on, obviously it runs off the XRPL. So someone's like, here's 100, here's a couple hundred, a CSC, sending stuff, here's some XRP. So really cool to see everybody sort of partaking in that. XRP Hollywood says maybe Flare wants to wait until XRP has clarity before launch. Many won't participate minting FXRP till XRP price increases due to impermanent loss. Yeah, that's an interesting thought right there. I think that, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how that's going to go, but I know that Flare is based in the UK, so I'm not sure if they're too concerned about it. But it's an interesting concept. I think what they're really focusing on now is making sure this thing is ready for launch, because you launch this thing and it goes, I mean, we're all waiting. We can't wait. I mean, we're coming up on December. Is going to be a full year. Can you imagine if there's something wrong? Wow, that wouldn't go over well. But anyway, XRP Hollywood, thank you for that support. Appreciate the question. Buford T says invest in. Yeah, right there. So Buford says, hey, for goodness sake, invest in property, houses, rent it out. Don't buy a non-rare supercar that has in value once it's outside the shop. Yeah, you know, I get a lot of heat for, I have like a truck that I just love, and it's an older truck. I don't care. You want to talk about battle tested? This puppy's battle tested. My wife says, like, you get a new vehicle. I'm like, why, man? This thing's awesome. I can get a new vehicle. Love it. You know, I get attached to like vehicles, but not necessarily because, you know, I've never really been, I was a car guy when I was a kid. You know, yeah, I got a cool car and everything. I really don't care. It's a place that gets me from point A to point B, but I got a big truck and it's great for putting stuff in. I need to move something, boom, I move it. I'm not asking any questions. I'm like waving to everybody else. That's why you have a big truck, 4-wheel drive, can go over things, under things. It's fantastic. XRP, supercar with the super sticker. And for all you guys, I'm going to get all you that just went ahead and supported that channel. I'm going to give, I got to do this. I got to do a wow. I got to do a wow, wow, wow. A wow's a wow, a wow's a wow, a wow's a wow. And one of these. Thank you very much. Jeff and I really appreciate the support, guys. It means a lot to us. And let's jump back on track, shall we? Want to jump into a couple other things here. I know we did some quick hits there, but let me close up some of my little tabs here that I have open. And let me see, there we go. Yeah, so there's some other things too. And I kind of teased this a little bit in the open, on when we opened up the show there. Let me get a little awa here. Sometimes there's nothing better than a cold water. So look at this, and I want to do a big shout out to the person that really found this out, because the Wrath of Kahneman does a lot of cool research. And this right here, I said, whoa, what's going on? Hold up, something's happening. What is this all about? Now, maybe you guys heard about this. This seems very under the radar to me, and potentially maybe it's not, but I think it is under the radar. But let's jump in. This is what I was alluding to. When I say a secret hire, I didn't hear a lot of fanfare when this happened. And we're going to find out maybe potentially why there wasn't. But let's take a look at this. So here we have Wrath of Kahneman. If you're not following it, it's a WKAHNEMAN. This was put out under the radar. In April, Ripple hired Sujit Bob Chakravorty as their chief economist. Did you guys know Ripple had a chief economist? Maybe you did. Like I say, you guys are always the smartest people in crypto. The managing director and chief economist of the clearinghouse. That's big. Senior economist at the Fed, Chicago. You don't say. Senior economist at the Fed, Dallas. Hold up. That's starting to sound a little interesting right there, right? And there he is, Sujit, better known as Bob Chakravorty. And look at this, CEO of his consulting firm, Chakra Advisors LLC, from 2016 to present. One major project was to conduct research as lead consultant on e-payments, part 3 of World Bank project, funded by the Gates Foundation on incentivizing digital payments. And so a recap, Ripple's new chief economist worked at the clearinghouse, the Federal Reserve, used to be called the American Clearinghouse, the Federal Reserve in Chicago and Dallas, KPMG with the World Bank on a Gates Foundation project, not to mention articles for the ECB, IMF, Dutch Central Bank, and more. Wow, I was like, every once in a while you run across something like this. And he put his source in here as well. And one of them is right here. We're going to look at his LinkedIn, but I wanted to focus in on this right here. Senior economist, the Financial Markets Group, Federal Reserve Bank, Chicago, analyzing retail and wholesale payments systems for over 20 years. So this is a very strategic hire. Chief economist who really worked in the payment space, worked at the Fed Chicago, Fed Dallas, worked with what did I miss here? No, there's so much stuff he's done over here. Federal Reserve Publications, Antitrust Bulletin, Journal of Money Credit, Banking, blah, blah, blah. Prior to joining the Federal Reserve System, he worked at KPMG, international economist advising foreign governments on financial market policy. That's weird. Can you guys think of any use case for that? Any reason why there might be some use case, and having experience with international economists advising foreign governments on financial market policy? Could it be something about the CBDCs? Possible. That is interesting. Let's jump in more here. In addition, he's also been visiting scholar, the Netherlands Bank, Dutch Central Bank, the European University Institute, the International Monetary Fund, better known as the IMF, and the University of Granada. He received his BA in economics and genetics from the University of California, Berkeley, and MA and PhD in economics from Brown University. This is somebody who is at another level, right? This is somebody doing stuff. And this was his bio on payments. And then let's workshop his his LinkedIn profile. So there he is right there. He's the chief economist at Ripple, former Federal Reserve economist. Again, if you guys noticed that Ripple only hires the best, look at Rosie Rios, right? You can take out a banknote and see her signature. Do you see what's going on here? And everyone's like, SEC, oh my gosh. Meanwhile, the SEC is in the middle of, it's kind of like they're just sort of, I'm trying to use the right word. I want to be they're kind of hanging themselves, right? They're kind of like, they turned it on themselves. But look at this, more than 25 years of experience providing empirically driven data analysis, market analysis, research to influence strategic decisions on financial products and innovation, advising senior leaders at financial institutions, the big FIs, central banks, fintech companies, public sector and financial market innovation and development, frequently interviewed by the business press. Why? Because he's talking not as a personal view, because of who he is and what he's accomplished, unlike the SEC, and invited to speak at prominent industry and academic conferences and events, experienced team leader, manager with recruitment, budget management, stakeholder relationship, mentoring expertise, published more than 40 publications that have appeared in industry and academic journals, organized conferences with leading industry leaders, academics, and policymakers. Wow, man. I am absolutely just burned out reading all that. So I'm like, how did this go unnoticed? This happened back in May. Well, there's been a lot of stuff going on. But to me, this was incredibly huge and incredibly kind of eye-opening. This Bob, Sujit Bob here has a lot of really amazing killer experience. And then let's jump here. Now let's kind of just strip through his resume right here a little bit. Let's do this, make this a little bigger. So there he is right there. So what did he put down as his blurb? Well, monitor cryptocurrency markets, provide thought leadership on crypto economics broadly, contribute to RippleX's mission to inspire, enable developers and institutions to collectively build the Internet of Value. Now, let's think about this. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's pretty generic right there. But based on what Bob has done, based on everywhere he's been from the Fed, working with the IMF, Gates Foundation, all this stuff, I think this is kind of not doing him that justice, right? That little blurb's just not doing him that much justice, right? And if you look here, he had his own Chakra Advisors from 2016 to present, 5 years, founded a strategy consulting firm to advise the fintech and tech firms, financial institutions. So it's very possible that he could have been an advisor to Ripple. It could have been one of the fintechs that he was advising, and maybe that's why they got to know him and brought him on. I don't know. I don't just sort of, making some guesses here. And it says right here, I love this, advise on bringing new products to market, present in industry and academic conferences, and then maintain incumbents and disrupt their blog to discuss forces shaping the financial service industry. So this is major thought leadership, an economist sitting there who probably knows an awful lot of people, central bankers all over the world. So there's something. This was a very key hire, and I didn't see a lot of fanfare. Usually you'll see somebody, and it just could be that I missed it. It can't be everywhere, guys. But I think that's great. So right there, and Sir John, he says, hey, he has a PhD in economics, tourism, and hospitality. There you go. So when you guys are talking to Sir John, just remember, PhD in economics, quite an awesome achievement. So, and he also puts out great stuff. And then let's talk about the clearinghouse. Let's throw that up there. Established, led, managed research department, multi-million-dollar budgets composed of a team of PhD economists, external consultants, tasked with providing the financial institutions with quantitative analysis for pending regulations and payment. Regulation, you don't say, huh? Reported quarterly to company governing boards comprising of chief financial officers, CROs, general counsels of the 24 largest banks operating in the U.S. Okay. Organizing, co-sponsoring conferences, leading university, Columbia, London, London School of Economics, Harvard, Stanford, University of Chicago, testified in front of the U.S. House Financial Services Committee. And what important legislation do they have there in that committee? Oh, it could be the token taxonomy. There you go. Talks about some of his major projects, Project Compass, identified opportunities for payment system improvement, too big to fail, managed a team of consultants and leading academics to qualify, potential funding, capital regulation, liquidity, regulation, single counterparty credit limits. There's a senior economist over at the Fed Reserve of Chicago, spent 11 years there. There he is as a senior economist at the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, spent 3 years there. Look at some of the projects he worked on. And there it is, KPMG in Washington, D.C., advised foreign governments. This is somebody who is very well steeped in what is going on, not only with fintechs, not only emerging technology, not only moving money, but comes from the traditional banking sector. Look at someone like a Rosie Real. Look at everybody on the Ripple team. And you tell me that this company is only valued at $10 billion. That's going to blow through the roof. That's going to be $50, $100 billion. They're going to be the next giant company out there because they're going to be moving all of the money. So I thought that was a really, really good one, and nice one, Wrath of Common. He always does some pretty good research there and finding these sort of like little, I don't know, things that kind of float by. And I wanted to find, I don't know if G's still in here. G's still in here, but he put out a tweet that I loved. Told him I'd shout him out today if I could only find it. I love how this works sometimes. Man, where is it? I don't know. Let me see if I can find it. I'm looking through here. So we did the Songbird thing. And it's funny because that Oasis Songbird keeps going through my head as a song. There's a song by Oasis called Songbird, and for some reason, when I heard Songbird, that thing started floating through my head, and it just hasn't stopped. But before we get to that, here we go. I want to shout out GDLT, because he put this up. This is fantastic. And G, I don't know if you're still in here, but this was an awesome tweet right here. He says, so if you guys know that, hang on, so let me click on this right here. Yeah, so FTX just closed a 900 million Series B, and FTX is blowing up. They're one of the largest exchanges. They're just going crazy, right? And they're the ones that put their name on the Miami Arena, where the Miami Heat plays, my all-time favorite team since inception. And FTX got a 900 million. That's almost $1 billion on a Series B round at a valuation of $18 billion. Do the math. You can see exactly what percent of the company they took. But $18 billion. Let me throw this tweet up here. That's $8 billion more than what Ripple is valued at. There it is right there. And now if you look at this, this is Michael Arrington tweeted this, breaking FTX worth $1 gazillion. And there it is right there. 900 million Series B at $18 billion. That's amazing. So GDLT put this out. He says, SBF looks like if Joel Katz and Jed McCaleb had a son. And then he tweeted this out. So there you are right there. So on the top left right here, that's on none other than our own David Schwartz. And that is a hell of a fro right there, man. Let me see if I can just click on this here. Let's see. Here we go. There it is. Look at the size of that fro. That is an afro. That is a beautiful thing. There's Jed McCaleb right there. And so if those two had a son, boom, there you go. And there is the chief CEO from FTX. And it's funny. It's cool. Listen, man, if you're running an $18 billion company, man, you know what? You better have some crazy hair. You can do whatever the hell you want. You know, I mean, look at the guy. Look at the CEO from Robinhood. He had like long hair, crazy hair, whatever, man. Just have a little bit of fun. But this is funny. This is some funny stuff. And G, I don't know if you're still in there. I knew I'd shout you out, but look at that. I don't know where you found that picture, but that is some serious gold right there. And I just want to remind everybody, look, if it's your first time here, best thing you can do is like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. That way you're notified anytime we put up a video. Simple. Click the like, subscribe, and the notification bell. You can also follow us on Twitter. We're at On The Chain with an underscore separating on and the chain. So go out there and follow us there. And let's see, we got a little bit to go. We're not going anywhere quite yet. I just want to get that in so I do not forget it. And I wanted to jump on this next story because I think this is big for the whole entire industry. This particular story right here. You know what? One of the big changes that happened over the last 3 years, yeah, more people flowed into digital assets, right, on the retail side. But another key thing that happened And it kind of just sort of happened. And of course, Bitcoin brought them in, right? Bitcoin was like the big like, hey, come here, you want to see something? And they came in for Bitcoin. But that's like the big thing that's happened like the last year and a half. Now, there was a brand new study that was launched, and the majority of institutional investors say that they're ready to buy digital assets. A new study found that these institutional investors have a nice appetite for digital assets, including crypto. And this is growing. New data shows that their interest in related businesses has continued. Crypto-related businesses is growing. Fidelity Digital Assets, the crypto arm of the global asset management giant Fidelity Investments, you may have heard of them before, tasked Coalition Greenwich to survey 1,100 institutional investors to understand what their expectations were regarding the digital asset investments, and the surveyed investors expect to invest in digital assets in the future. Survey was conducted between December of 2020, April of 2021, over 4 or 5 months, with the participation of high net worth investors, family offices, digital and traditional hedge funds. So it was a mix. It wasn't just one sector. It's kind of like a broader sort of a pool of, instead of just going with the big financial investors or the funds, kind of a little bit of everything, even endowments they talked about. And the definition of a digital asset investment defined by the survey team included investing in crypto directly, buying crypto-related company stocks, exposure to like a Coinbase. 70% of participants expect to invest in digital assets within the next 5 years. Let me say that again, if we missed it, 70% of participants over the next 5 years. That is a huge number. And when you look at who that pool of upper echelon is, that's a lot of the money right there. And what does that spell? That spells adoption on a massive level, which is just absolutely incredible. I thought that was great because a lot of times when we get caught up in the little minutia from day to day, oh, flares being pushed out, oh, XRP price crash, oh, what, it seems like the whole market's down. Yeah, Bitcoin dipped under 30,000. Oh no. And people are like, it's going to go to 1,000. It's going to go less than 1,000. It's a meaningless project. Look, keep the faith, because at the end of the day, trust your gut. You got into it. You started investing. You started looking out for yourself. Started looking at other ways. And look, we're still early. I have to remind everybody. I have to remind myself. We're early. How early are we? We're at the beginning. If this is the end and this is the beginning, we're down. You can't even see it on the screen. We're way below. And this is why I always want to take a deep breath, sort of remember where you're at. Take a look at the lay of the land. Don't make harsh, judgments. If you invested what you were okay with losing, or you made some smart investments, look, stock market dropped 900 points today. It's kind of how it works. And if you've been around long enough, you know that it ebbs and flows. It works in cycles, and we get there together. That's why it's great having the community. Why we love the On the Chain, community so much. You guys are really incredible. And when you guys send stuff to us, tweet stuff to us, what do we do? The first thing we do is we want to shout you out. Why not always do it, because we get caught up in stuff. But if you put something out there, something you think we should talk about, let us know. We're sure to love to hear from you, because we want to see what's on your mind. What are some of the things you want Jeff and I to talk about? And most of the time you'll ask in the chat, but a lot of times it doesn't come that easy. I want to throw this up there. This is Virgil Amza. Thank you very much for the super sticker. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. Huge shout out. And I only buy because Bart Simpson told me to. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, if a little cartoon bear told you, Bearable Guy 123, it doesn't really matter. As long as you got in. That's what I love about this. I did want to get into something which probably we'll hold over to tomorrow, but it kind of ties into the conversation I'm having right now. And it's really good stuff, because I want you guys to contrast where you're at. I want you to contrast where somebody who's on the internet right now, who's basically showboating everything that they're doing. We just ran out of time tonight to get to it, but we will get to it. You can always remind me tomorrow. You're like, Chip, what was that thing you were going to talk about? But I love it, because sometimes we all need some perspective, right? When you get perspective, it makes you open up your eyes, kind of look at things a little bit differently. Otherwise, you kind of get stuck in the rut. You want to be able to look at stuff. You want to see what others are doing in the space. We can learn, we can teach each other, and that's how we get it done. Jeff will be back tomorrow, as you guys probably would have guessed. We're going to do an amazing show tomorrow. Jeff and Chip back in the seats again. And I was glad to see Jeff popping in here for even a little bit tonight, which was really awesome. We'll see all you guys tomorrow. Wait, is today Wednesday or Tuesday? Today's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. I'm sorry. We're going to be back for 2 nights. What am I? I'm already rushing the week. Today's Tuesday. Obviously, we got 2 more days to go. So that's going to be even better. That's all I really have, guys. I will see you on the next one. Have a great one. Chip out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.